good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or whatever time you are watching or listening to this podcast. Welcome to another episode of the Down in the Valley podcast. My name is Edson Ochoa. I am one of the co-hosts of this Down in the Valley podcast. I hope you all are doing so well. Unfortunately, we've got another podcast where we have to cover a negative results. However, this podcast will be a whole lot quicker. As I mentioned on Twitter, I will be making the videos of key play analysis that I usually have done in the last couple of episodes. I'm going to be keeping that as a separate content on the YouTube channel. So if you guys have not subscribed to the YouTube channel, those of you that are listening on Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, TuneIn Radio, or any podcasting platform, be sure to go to youtube.com / Down in the RGV. Be sure to subscribe to the Down in the Valley channel so you will get those. We want to focus the live stream on opinions, on different topics or news that have come up, and in order to help us talk a little bit more about what's going on here at RGV FC, I want to welcome my good friend and co-host Jacob Young. Jacob, how are you doing?
Doing all right. Looking forward to talking about soccer and, of course, other things. I guess real quick before we get into this, just wanted to clear up a couple of things. So, of course, yesterday, if for those of you that were either on Twitter or witnessing Twitter, for the past couple of days since June kind of started, I had been messaging or adding RGV FC because they seem to be radio silent once the month of June started. And here's where it just gets a little weird. Other clubs, like every single club at least, did a basic thing of changing their logo or something to let everyone know, okay, we're with Pride. And to me, all RGVFC needed to do was just say Happy Pride Month. Stay tuned for a big announcement. That's literally all they had to write, so that they didn't feel like they were an embarrassment to the league. And what I mean by that is USL pages started to kind of come after the teams that hadn't said anything. And so I added RGVFC a lot on their accounts saying, look, y'all going to say something or not? Because this is 2 years in a row that they had gone radio silent during this month, and it just seemed really weird. And then finally, they added me on Twitter yesterday saying, we hear your concern. We appreciate it. Stay tuned for big announcements on our social. So y'all stay tuned for that. And then as well as JT, I'll bring him up. He messaged me as well, saying that there's going to be two things that will be special this month of June. So keep your eyes peeled. Just don't know why they weren't more transparent was my big concern with all of this, even though it's 7 days into the month. But everything seems to be in order now. I felt like I played their hand again, but oh well. Could I have done it differently? Yes. Could things have been done differently with them? Yes, but all's well. I guess it ends well.
I know a lot of people. I know you've been very vocal about it, about Pride Month and everything. I've been very, voiced on Twitter, clubs or even like leagues, for example. Even NASCAR has done something for Pride Month. NASCAR of all sports is doing something. Right, is doing something on social media. Yes, they got a lot of backlash. Even Alex Bowman, who posted, they posted their livery for Sonoma. You started getting all these hate comments and yada yada yada. But yeah, it was kind of strange that RGVFC had not been very. Even changing the logo on June 1st, which has been kind of customary for the celebration of Pride Month. I think it caught a lot of people off guard, including yourself, including myself. So I have a message here. He says, I'll be transparent here. There was already a meeting and a plan in place. We just didn't post about it because it wouldn't make sense to give a half-done post or observance, if you get me. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I understand somewhat, but I do think that, you know, maybe, I mean, I think planning could have done a little bit sooner, but it's easy to just say
Yeah.
something from this chair. You know, we don't know what goes on in the background, but you know, you see a lot of teams. You know, it's June 1 comes along, and orale, you know, Pride Month tweets, Pride Month events get announced. And, you know, I think you posted on Twitter, Jacob, you said something along the lines of, oh, do you not want to get your sponsors mad? I think it's more, okay, this is me being, and I'm hating myself for this because I definitely don't agree with what I'm about to say. But looking at it in the way of, and I think I've mentioned this in years before when we've talked about Pride Month, Jacob. For the most part, despite the Valley being mostly Democrat, voting mostly Democrat in the elections, the people here tend to be on the conservative side, right? So unlike in other places where obviously there's a lot of people that are a lot more, you know, liberal in the aspect of in regards to LGBTQ rights, here I feel like not a lot of people. Maybe there's people that is like, well, it doesn't like, they're not vocal about it, right? Or they pretty much, you know, are very, you know, against it, right? So I know last year when they did something, I saw a lot of backlash too. But then on the other hand, I mean, even Orange County, who is in a very conservative region of California, right away announced, you know, this game against the Toros was their pride game, right? So, so yeah, that's why a lot of people, you know, especially outside of the USL, the more vocal, the more I'm trying to find the correct word, right? The more so yeah, the people that are more into, you know, making sure that, that I'm trying to find what the word is, to be honest. But basically that they're more outspoken in favor of LGBTQ rights, you know, African American rights, you know, minority rights, and all of that. They tend to be a lot more of like, okay, watchdogs. They tend to be more watchdogs about what everybody else is doing, and if somebody doesn't do anything, right away they mention, oh, you know, this, and this, right? So I understand there's a lot of planning involved, and so has this thing gotten better? No, well, anyway, but you know, unfortunately, you know, you kind of see like where silence kind of is acceptance of hate kind of thing. Others might see this completely different. Obviously, I understand that. But I think at the end of the matter, at least for me, is that I would like to see not only these kind of events, but also find a way for the club to be helpful of the LGBTQ community here in the Rio Grande Valley.
Yeah.
Now I'm hoping that that's the kind of events that JT is talking about. But like, so yeah, it hopefully these events are going to be, you know, good. I'm at a loss for words here right now, but you know what I mean. I really do think that it should actually be a worthwhile impact for the community. I do understand there's going to be a lot of backlash, like I mentioned, against this. But I think that if RGV catered to the conservative, the Christian market here in the Rio Grande Valley, I do think there should also be a place for the LGBTQ. Because even let's be honest, there are people that are Christians that are a part of the LGBTQ plus community as well. So, um, so the conservatives can't be like, oh well, why is it that the team doesn't cater to us? Because I've seen those kind of comments on social media. There's a when is our white pride month? I'm like, oh my god. But or the
Yeah.
where's our Christian month kind of thing. But I'm getting too involved into politics. I know I should not, but Jacob, I don't know. Do you have anything else you want to add before we kind of move on?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just glad everything was, situated, figured out. Um, that things are in the work. Of course, I want to see this more from RGV FC, as in these types of whether or not it's just a month, then be involved more with this community with everything. I know it's very difficult to do because you're always going to be on a budget as a club, from players and things like that, and marketing has their own budget. But it's very cool to be involved with the community, involved with stuff like that. Whether or not it's with like we mentioned the Black community to Hispanic community, and I mean this all turns back to 2020. The reason why I'm so now want to be more involved in things like this, just I mean it goes back to the pandemic. My friend, I said something wrong on Twitter. My friend called me out for it, rightfully so, and then from then on, I was like, yeah, I need to be more open minded about this stuff. And sure enough, I just want to push it and, push it for everybody that deserves it, that doesn't get as much love as or as much exposure or whatever as the other
Mhm.
communities that have a lot of it, like Hispanic Heritage, big down here. Now, next up, Black Heritage Month. If it's part of RDVSC, if it's a part of the season is what I mean, then something like that, and little things. So definitely looking forward to the big plans from RGVSC that they had that. I get where they're coming from for sure with all of it, and let's just hope for more like it.
So JT does add in the chat. He says again, no. He says we have two different awareness initiatives that we will be observing. So it wasn't just Pride this year. Last year it was. So we changed the logo right away, basically. Again, no harm done. Just good dialogue between us and the fan base, which is fair. Y'all know I'm always open with y'all. Thank you, JT. I really, really appreciate your transparency about this issue. We've talked about it many times. We would love to have more transparency from the club, and yeah, we thank you for being honest with the information that you are allowed to kind of mention to us, that we can mention it over to our audience. D the Demon says we always lose. Plus, I saw you at the Tampa game. Yeah, thanks, man. If you ever see me at the or if you see me or Jacob at the stadium, do not hesitate to say hi to us. Like I said, I just saw last week or 2 weeks ago, I saw costless Titan as well. So we don't bite, but
No,
it's
no,
it's
we're awkward as can be sometimes too.
well, true. But by
And
the way,
then
Jacob, so how has your week been so far? I know we didn't do a lot of a small talk.
Oh, it's been great. Yeah, no, we didn't do a lot of small talk. Yeah, no, Sunday was. It's funny. Of course I have to bring up the story. Shout out to the Sepulveda family. I apologize again on my behalf of my awkwardness and not knowing what to do when I was recognized in public. Yeah, and I was just having a nice meal with the family. Went over because it's a large table to go talk to the other side of the table for a second as I was finished with my lunch. And then I walked back, and one of the people stops me and says, "Excuse me." They thought that I was working for them, but no, or working, but I was wearing a jacket, so it didn't make any sense for that. And then they were like, are you Jacob Young?" And I'm like, yes. I thought they were gonna say, "But we recognize you from, I don't know, Rio Sports Live." No, they said we recognize you from down in the valley. I'm like, cool, okay. Never got this either way. And yeah, I was awkward, and I was like, "Cool, thanks." I tried. I kind of froze, and again, I apologize for being
Yeah.
awkward there. But next time I do see them, I will make sure to, if they want a picture, take a picture with them or anything like that. Yeah, I'm open to all that stuff. So just I gotta embrace it now, just like you said, and should be good.
Guys, it's funny because, like I said, I saw Costless Titan and the last game. I saw somebody else as well. But I didn't ask their name. So I apologize for that, over there by the Stampede. And in fact, that's why I was late to the post game press conference. Just sitting in there and chatting with them. But it's funny you mentioned about taking a picture. I remember I was still in Houston. I think it was my second year in Houston. I was at a Dynamo game, and and somebody came up to me, and he was like, "Hey, are you Edson from the?" And we're like, "Yeah." Yeah, that's me, man. What's up? And then we started talking. And at the end, after we finished talking, before he leaves, he's like, "Dude, can you sign my cap?" And I was taken off guard. I was like, "Why?" Like, I didn't feel like somebody that deserved, signing somebody's cap, right? But I was like, "Yeah, sure, of course, man, no problem." So I signed his cap, and it was we all went on our merry way. But yeah, it's just crazy. We're just doing something for fun, and now all of a sudden, people are starting to recognize us. Let's just
Yeah,
not climb on top of the bricks,
exactly.
So JT says, "Don't be late again. I'm locking you out." Hey, it's all for the fans, man. It's all for the fans. Fans come first. He also says, "Damn, man has fans. I can charge you my handling fee if you need an agent." So, for me, honestly, this week, well, let me see. On Friday, as I was getting over to work, my sunroof pretty much blew off, or yeah, it cracked open. Trying to get the part has been almost impossible, right? This week, or starting this month, I'm working, 7 to 6, Monday through Thursday. Waking up at 5:30 in the morning has been terrible for me. I cannot wait for my vacation in July, but I do have this that just came in today, Jacob. So I got a new I got a new piece for
Brennan.
I got a new piece for my collection with the Out in the Groove. I'm gonna be honest, Jacob. I don't remember ordering this one. I remember
Oh
actually.
no.
I remember I paid the. Oh, you know what? I think I might have. But I did not. I did not make it in time to actually get my name in the deck lid, because in the actual car. So, but I got this one to join my Daniel Suarez and Ross Chastain diecast. I'm still waiting on the Hell Melon car, and I'm waiting on the BJ McLeod one that will have my name on the deck lid, even on the diecast. So that's gonna be pretty cool. But yeah, I think overall it's just been splendid. But anyway, guys, let's talk about the game last Saturday, Jacob. Right? Because I think the fans in general, if I'm not mistaken, we were kind of in a situation where it's like, we've had terrible results at home, but the team has played better on the road. So there was that glimmer of hope. JT, how does it feel to see Tigres become a champion once again of the Liga MX, and you guys were left with empty hands? And no, the femenil doesn't count. Don't be getting their accomplishments for the men's team. I said what I said. Anyway, um, what I was saying is like, so we go into this game, we've got a little bit of hope that okay, maybe the team will play better on the road. I mean, both of our the win against Detroit City was on the road. The win against San Diego Loyal was also on the road, right? So there was a glimmer of hope that we would have a better showing, this Saturday. And then we go into this match, and right off the bat, the lineups are announced, and I'm just like, what is going on here, kind of thing. Jacob, what was your reaction to this?
Yeah, I was definitely a little confused, a little concerned about the lineups. First time that I had been. For the rest of the time, I mean, even when RGV FC was at home and the goalkeeper was replaced, I was still kind of I felt okay with it. This was the first time that I really didn't feel okay with RGV FC's lineup, and it was like, okay, I guess Wilmer knows what he's doing, or he's just trying to change something up because, well, something is broken and we can't seem to get a win. So, or they can't seem to get a win. So it was very interesting to see that type of change.
So I know last week, a lot of people kind of made comments about, Merancio coming in and, saying that, oh, we didn't like, we didn't like Merancio, right? And I said, look, we haven't seen enough out of Merancio to give an educated guess onto at what level Carlos Merancio is, right? So surprisingly, he gets another start this past Saturday against Orange County SC, which kind of raises some questions, right? As to, okay, we understand not having Tyler for 1 week, but 2 weeks in a row, no Tyler. And it's like, okay, what's really going on kind of here? Because obviously, Wilmer said last week in the post-game press conference, he said, look, I decided to give Carlos Merancio a chance because we've already seen Tyler Derrick play. I wanted to see Carlos Merancio. Right. So give him an opportunity to start. Mm-hmm. So when he starts again, I'm like, okay, I don't think this is about seeing him play. I think there's something more to this. I mean, I honestly could be wrong, but it just struck me off guard that's when there's no injuries announced, and we've seen Tyler warm up before the games, which shows that he could be, I mean, he's not sidelined. And now all of a sudden, you've got Carlos Merancio going in again. And it's like, okay, what's going on? But I'm like, okay, let's give Carlos Merancio an opportunity to continue to showcase himself in the game, kind of give him an opportunity to fight for that starting position. Because obviously, as a backup goalkeeper, you never just want to be stuck on the bench, and you want to take advantage of every opportunity that is given to you in order to be competitive against someone with the experience like Tyler Derrick. So, but that wasn't the only question that I had in this lineup. So let me show you. Let me explain to you the lineup. So obviously we talked about Carlos Merancio on goal. And then a line of three center backs: Eric Kinsner, Wahab Akwe, Frank Nodarse. My original plan, or my original thought was, okay, if I see these three and I see that Coronado is there as well, my thought is, okay, he's going to play a line of four, and he's going to play with Akwe and Kinsner as center backs, with Rob Coronado playing as outside left back, and Frank Nodarse, although like I've mentioned many times before, I'm not a fan of him playing as an outside back, playing out on the right. Mm-hmm. And then the game, so that's the defense. And then in the midfield, pues te digo, you've got Cristiano Francois, not playing as center striker or false nine or whatever you want to call it. You bring in, like I said, you have Coronado, Taylor Davila, Juan David Cabezas, Frank Lopez as well, and then Ricky Reese and Wilmer Cabrera Jr. And it's like, okay, where are you put? How is this team going to be? How is this team going to fit as a starting 11? I want to get your thoughts on this first before I start giving you my actual thoughts. On this lineup.
Yeah, yeah. It's Venancio. I get it. Why he's out there again? Didn't agree with it the second time. Like we already brought up, a line of 3 in the back, and then a 4-3. Of course, it's what Google said. Really, for the most part, it didn't seem that crazy to me having a 3 striker, three strikers up there, having 4 midfielders. That's where I felt like RGV FC had struggled in their losses before this game had struggled. So maybe having a little bit more midfield could have helped. But the crazy part was, of course, this is a long time past, and we'll get into it, is, well, the whole line of midfield got subbed. That's where 4 of the 5 subs came from. But besides that, it seemed okay. Yes, it was a bit weird, and that's where I had the concerns, but it seemed like, okay, normal position kind of with Juan Cabezas. Just, I mean, see what happens from Wilmer Cabrera. What more do we have to lose besides we're in 11th place? Let's just try something out. I'm with Wilmer Cabrera in this game, for at least RGVOC.
This is my honest opinion about this. To me, it was almost like the idea for Wilmer was, okay, I want to get everybody I have up front. And then as he got, more to the back, is like, oh crap, I don't know what to do now. So, whatever. Just put in, a line of 3, because it's like, to me, I feel like it was a completely drastic change from what was played before by RGV. What I mean is, usually you'd play a 4-3-3. In occasions, you play a line of 5. But it is clear that there was a line of 5 with 3 center backs and 2 wing backs, right? Whether it was either Duilio Herrera or even Frank Nodarce. Obviously, we've got to talk about, Jonathan Ricketts, but he's out with an injury, right? And then over here, you usually have, okay, well, if you don't have Robert Coronado, you have Tomás Ritondale, sometimes even Gabriel Benitez. Well, Benitez is out with an injury as well now, so it just didn't make sense to me. It was it was like, oh, I'm going to throw these these darts and see where it lands, and that's what and I feel like, watching as the game went on, I really did feel that the players were confused and what was their role in this lineup. Right off the bat, RGV started to struggle with the high pressure. And Wilmer talked about it during the week. I know our friends from the Orange and Black Soccer Cast, kind of did a mention about how Orange County, they hadn't been playing well offensively, but they could see that they were starting to get on a groove, at least defensively. I know because they drew 0-0 before the game against the Toros. They drew against the Miami FC. But you had players like Milan Eloski that was starting to get back into the groove. So with the high pressure, it seemed like the Toros didn't know what to do. They tried to control the ball, but the spaces were so closed down that they didn't know they didn't know, okay, where do I go? Because I don't see anybody that's wide open, right? So what does that happen is, like, 4 minutes in, Wahab Akwe makes a mistake. He trips over the ball. I don't know if he was thinking of his next move before he made the actual move of dribbling the ball. He ends up tripping. The ball gets taken away from him, and Milanoski one-on-one against the keeper and puts it into the back of the net. Like I said, that was just in the 4th minute. But we go back with the situation of the defense making mistakes. Then not much later, in the 16th minute, you got another situation where Orange County is playing out wide, and you got a situation where you only have 3 backs, right? Sometimes you'll have Juan David Cabezas come back and play kind of like that second center back, to kind of like a quasi line of 4. The problem is, and I've mentioned it many times, that Frank Nodares is more of a center back, right? So he's going to think like a center back. So there's miscommunication there. And of course, with that miscommunication, Osundina was left wide open inside the box. And now you're talking about 2-0 down very early in the game.
I guess, yeah, okay. Didn't know if it was my turn to talk yet, but all right, yeah. These are just silly mistakes, Edson. From the start of it, I mean, we go back to the first goal real quick. I mean, you slip in midfield and it's going to be a counterattack. What more can the keeper do besides just get ready to potentially be scored on? If he can make a save, it's very difficult in that situation when it's like a 5-on-1 counterattack. I know it wasn't that extreme, but it was basically like that, where you tried to run back, but there was no, I believe Nodares, but there was no catching back up. Or Francois.
Well, it was, yeah. So it was Akwe that slipped, and the only person that was next, that was close, was Juan David Cabezas. But you could tell right when you watch the play, Juan David Cabezas isn't fast enough to catch the two Orange County SC players. So it was just a futile effort. I know somebody mentioned that said, "Oh, the players aren't trying." Well, the fact is they are trying, but they're making these mistakes, and you know. You can't expect Juan David Cabezas to run like Vinicius Jr., right? It's not going to happen.
Yeah, he's past his prime too. I'm sorry, Juan, but it's true. I hope you know that. But besides all of that, it's just these silly mistakes costing RGV FC points, costing them. Yes, they didn't score anything in that first half either, or in those 2 goals being scored. But at that same time, you don't make a mistake at midfield. Maybe you have a little bit more chance of having, I don't know, shot on goal or something like that. Not giving Orange County chances to have momentum and slip the momentum to their side at championship field and making it a 1-goal game, a 2-goal game, or anything like that. Yes, you can tell if they're trying, but it definitely from an outside perspective looking in does not. When it goes to, oh, you're down by 2 goals again, if a person's not watching the game, they think, oh, just classic RGV FC, not really caring to play that well. It's obviously different, but it's just one of those situations where this team is just, I can't honestly tell you what is going on with the team at this moment. The mistakes they're making are fundamental mistakes, which is just crazy and difficult to kind of slip out.
It's funny you mentioned that about, people having a negative thoughts about how RGV plays. So if you look at the USL on YouTube channel's highlights video for this game, somebody posted in the comments, RGV plays payaso style soccer. Ouch. So you're not far off when you mentioned that. So my question really is, okay, so what's at fault here? Okay. Number one, you've got a lot of injuries. There's not much you can do about it. What you can do about it is you build a roster that is relatively deep enough to have multiple people in each position if possible. So when you're in a situation where you've got a lot of people injured, right? But then you add to the fact, well, I don't have anybody else to replace him with. In the case of Jonathan Ricketts, well, who do you have behind him? You have nobody, right? You have to improvise with Duilio. Or now you have to improvise with Frank Nodarce, who's a center back, right? Or you have to completely change your formation to be able to to form a starting 11. But I really think that this has been one of the worst games that I had seen out of RGV. Mm-hmm. And just the fact that we keep making these mistakes defensively just doesn't look well at all, especially with the fact that, the players and coaches always have mentioned, they even mentioned in the pregame conference, they said, we're working on fixing these mistakes, but they keep on making these mistakes. So it's like, I know they're working, but why is it that when the players are in this scenario of in an actual in-game scenario, it's like whatever they worked during the week kind of goes out the window, and it all goes back to the mental side of it. We talked about it last week. We need to work. Something needs to be done, I guess, on the mental side. Do they block themselves? I don't know, because we saw Wahabakwe last season. He was solid. Uh-huh. Why is he out making all these mistakes all of a sudden, right? Yeah. So I know we're not the best roster. We're not the best roster in this team. Oh, you can only do so much. But man, these mistakes, these mistakes cannot be happening. I mean, they can happen if it's like once
in a blue moon.
Yeah, once in a blue moon. But if week by week you're making similar kind of mental mistakes, of defensive mistakes, questions are going to rise up from the coach, from the fans, from the analysts, from the coaching staff, and the players themselves, obviously, are going to be like, are you kidding me? Another one of these mistakes? Like, we're trying so hard to get this boat, sailing once again, and, we keep on shooting ourselves in the foot kind of thing, So it is frustrating. It is frustrating to see that kind of thing. Now, we talked about the defense, and offensively, we still are unable to create chances on goal. And in this case, it's more along the lines of, okay, we're in a completely different position. Francois is a midfielder now. Ricky and Wilmer Jr., they're more closer towards the middle. And up on top, you've got Frank Lopez. So the issue is, with Frank Lopez, you gotta feed him the balls, through crosses. Unfortunately, a lot of the times he was offside, or the defense was just doing so well to be able to cover him and not being able to give him those kind of opportunities.
Yeah,
but it's just they weren't able to create. They weren't able to break apart this defense from Orange County. You look at the chalkboard from the USL website. So the USL says that both teams had 7 shots total. 7 and 7. RGV apparently had 3 shots on target, 5 shots from Orange County SC. If you look, Jacob, at the location of these shots, 5 out of the 7 shots that we're talking about were outside the box. So they were unable to penetrate neither Wilmer Jr., nor Ricky, nor Francois, nor Frank Lopez were able to penetrate the 18-yard box to create some chances on goal. Mm-hmm. And when they did make it inside, they were offside. Okay? The 2 shots that were inside the box were in stoppage time in the second half.
Yep.
And both of them were blocked.
Yep.
So it's like, how can we expect this team to get themselves out of this rut when we're unable to create some decent opportunities on goal that will really make the goalkeeper work? You know, it's you can blame. I mean, you can blame it on the, I don't know, haphazard improvised formation that he tried to play in this game. But this isn't just from this week. This is, how many weeks has it been? How many weeks has it been? And they've played 4-3-3, right? And they've played, with two up front as well. The games where they really looked good was in games where the offense left you a lot of space to work with. In the game against San Diego Loyal, we talked about it. They tried to play with a line of three. It failed on it. It gave Ricky and Wilmer a lot of space to work with, and Robert Coronado as well, to get some shots, to cross inside the box, you name it. New Mexico United, defense was terrible. Once again, opened a lot of spots for them to be able to score some goals. But what happens when you've got a defense that is organized, that is able to close down the spots? We have nothing to open them up, or very little to open them up. And that is an issue. That is an issue that now everybody knows. Let's hunker down defensively, because we know that RGV is not going to create any damage on us.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's in an interesting place for RGV FC. They just buried themselves in a hole. It's really as simple as that they seem to struggle to get out of. And I don't know. This team has a lot of talent on the outside as well. Looking in, again, you mentioned it. Frank Nadarsa looked very solid last year. Waha Bakwe looked very solid last year as well. Frank Lopez, when he was healthy, looked very good. It's a lot of these players that all of a sudden just their confidence is completely shattered. And anytime that RGVFC had, like you said, had an opportunity to score, were either offside or just nothing really could happen with a shot being blocked. And it's stuff that I don't even think can be worked on in practice. That's how severe this has kind of gotten. It's a lot of the mental aspect, I think, of this, and just to break through defenses that they haven't been able to. It's strange. I don't know what else to really say, because this is where I was shell-shocked. Is just this was the third week for RGVFC to play kind of the way that they did. And there was so much hope literally 3 weeks ago with RGVFC knocking off San Diego Loyal on the road too, 3-2, scoring 3 goals in one game. And then all of a sudden couldn't score a goal against any other team. The trap game, we all talked about that last week, but yeah, it's just it's interesting. This team is definitely an anomaly and very interesting to dissect, because it's strange of what's going on when this team had so much potential at the start of the season, all the way up until even now, still with that potential, but the mistakes are making me think less and less that RGVC even has a chance of finishing in 11th where they're at right now. And I know that's strong comments, but where are they at right now? It's just that's the way that the mistakes seem so fundamentally wrong. It's like you're watching a high school team at the moment.
See, you say that's actually a similar sentiment that our friend Costless Titan actually had. He said it was he said something similar to that. Like it didn't feel like the players were playing like at a professional level with the kind of mistakes that they're having. So you're not alone in that sentiment, Jacob. Now my question is, and I always go back to the starting 11 because okay, number one, and I don't think it's the first time I said this. Juan David Cabezas, we talk about, he's already in the later stages in life. He's not as fast as he used to be, and he wasn't even that fast to begin with. He was he was a player that knew where to position himself, and if you were going to get away, he wasn't afraid to use, to make a foul, right? We know that since his Dynamo days. But now he's like in his upper 30s. So obviously his fitness is not going to be the same as back when he was first with the Houston Dynamo with Wilmer Cabrera. I'll keep on saying it. To me, Juan David Cabezas, you cannot allow him to be by himself in charge of the whole midfield defensively. You're going to tire him out, right? And you're going to leave a lot of spaces open because of that, right? I'm not saying that Juan David Cabezas needs to be out from the lineup, but give him help in the midfield because you know that Davila is going to be more offensive-minded than defensive-minded, right? Who do you have left? Well, you've got, Francois, offense. You've got Wilmer Jr., offense. Frank Lopez, well, he's the striker, right? If you see in this game against Orange County, whenever Juan David was not that second center back, he was in the midfield and he was like, there was so much space in the middle where he's at that he had to cover. You saw in the first goal, he wasn't fast enough to get back and try to stop Milan and Oski from scoring the goal. You have Ritondale on the bench. Why did you prefer to improvise with a line of three center backs instead of bringing in Ritondale? If you're gonna have Nodarse, okay, all right. Let's say you want to keep Nodarse playing as an outside back because there is no choice right now. You have Tomas Ritondale, and that allows you, okay, well, right, it's Nodarse outside, but at least we're in a formation that we've already played, that we're already used to, that we already have a couple of games already under our belt of experience, right? But no, you try to go with a 3-man back, and it's like, and you see, like I said, okay, who am I marking? Nodarse thinks he's a center back. Well, what does that happen? That leaves somebody wide open out in the back for you to, for them to get an open shot on goal. Offensively, it was like, okay, if you're going to have Frank Lopez, if you think he's 100% ready to be a starter, sub somebody out. Who plays the striker position? Striker position before Cristiano Francois. Give the starting position. If you want him to start, if you want to see how he does as a starter, why not use him in a formation that you think that, oh, that's going to be my main formation? Well, let's see how he does. Let's see how he does, and then bring in Francois as a super sub, so that way you take advantage of his speed and his strength when the opposing back line is tired. Honestly, for me, that's my idea. That's what I was thinking as the game went on, But it to me, at least in my mind, it makes sense. I'm not sure what you guys think. At least in my mind, the non license holding, armchair analyst here, that's what makes sense for me.
Yeah. I get it. I get where you're coming from, Edson. And I can definitely see that working too. I mean, I just At this point, I don't know. You could really just at this point for Wilmer Cabrera, I don't feel bad if he keeps experimenting because his time to me feels like it's running out. But at that same time, are we really going to see RGV FC put their foot down and say, if you can't start winning, we're gonna throw you to the street, sort of? I don't think so, but we'll probably see a completely different lineup on Saturday. Um, Most likely with Derek behind goal, but it's just line of 3-4-3, sure. 4-3-2-1 might have even been better, considering what was that 4-1-4 from or 4-1-4-1 from the visitors. So I don't know what would have worked, but yeah, it's just basically kind of a throwaway game from RGVFC's perspective, even with that formation.
I think the problem also is all the additional problem here is that the fans are starting to get frustrated. The fans are losing their patience.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what the expected attendance for this Saturday's game is going to be, but I know last home game there were less people at the stands. The atmosphere was kind of dead. The feedback I overheard from a lot of people as they were leaving the stadium was extremely negative. On social media, people are especially on Facebook, but I mean, Facebook has always been negative. You've had a lot of people, you've had a lot of complainers, and all of that. So the fact of the matter is like, if the team keeps losing, a lot more people are going to be like, why should I pay money to go see a losing team? Kind of thing. Ya conozco mi gente. Right? So this team needs to wake up. It needs to get their act together. Hopefully it's going to be soon. We do know that according to, to Twitter, Juan Galindres has posted that he is ready, that he is close to being on his way to the Rio Grande Valley to become to play for the Toros. Really, really good news. Really, really hoping that with him coming in with an eventual Pinzon return, it could give a jump start to this offense, and I think this team really needs it. Mm-hmm. But I think the biggest question is on defense. I think the defense, whoever is going to continue playing because of all these injuries, hopefully, number one, that we get that whoever is injured has a full recovery, first of all. Second, speedy recovery, so they hopefully get back soon to play. Because right now there is not a lot of options. Now, I did put in the poll, and this is another topic that I wanted to touch upon real quick. Once again, Puma on the bench for this game. I put in the poll. Would you have or would you return Puma to the starting 11? Okay. Mm-hmm. So 6 people voted. 66% said yes. 33% said no. Right. So what are your thoughts, Jacob? Because honestly, I thought that with the way Puma started this season and the way Wahabakwe and Frank Nodarse as a center back pairing was playing, I thought we would be fine without him. But it turns out with all of these injuries, with all of this improvisation from Wilmer, we aren't doing well. At this point, if you were the coach, would you cut your losses? Would you and say, okay, Puma, here you go, back in the starting 11?
Well, here's the thing. I think, but before I tell you my full answer, well, I'm going to circle around to it. But it goes back to the last time that he even played any minutes in my eyes. When he played, he seemed like a very soft version of the Puma Pimentel we saw at the start of the season. And what I mean by that is...
Did he get a call from Rick Hendrick as well?
Exactly. And but to be fair, he still leads the league. This is as recent as, of course, Wednesday, June 7th, that he still leads the league in 2 red cards, if I'm not mistaken, from the USL website. And so, of course, he was playing very aggressively before this whole situation and before his sit down, I'm sure, with coach, um, and his injury and all that shenanigans that went on. So I'd say sure. I'd say bring him back into the lineup, but you got to tell him, be aggressive. At this point, if I'm coach, which this would just, I mean, I'm glad I'm not, I'd just be like, okay, go back out. I don't care if you get a red card now, be aggressive. Light this team on fire, something like that, because it just seems this team, I'm sorry, all the confidence that's been shattered, maybe it is time for Puma to be back on and to potentially lead this team. Now, I'm not expecting that much because the last time that he led this team as captain, he did get a red. But at this point, who cares? Go out there. Maybe a red card is what this team needs. Maybe they do need to play with 10 players, 10 field players or not 9 field players for a second, and just maybe they need that extra space. I don't know, but I say go for it and make sure that he plays at his full potential, just like he did at the start of the season.
I'm going to, if I was Wilmer, and based on what I have said previously about Puma, the last couple of episodes, I would actually, I think I would be at the point that where I'm going to swallow my pride and give Puma the starting 11.
Oh yeah,
back, because unfortunately, this team needs stability, and with the improvisation that's been happening, that you're not going to give it. You're not going to give it. Start Wahab and Pimentel, just like it was last season.
mm-hmm.
As much as we didn't like Puma individually at times, it worked for RGV.
It did
last season.
It did.
Outside you see Tomas Ritondale, blended well with Wilmer Jr. Allow him to be the starter. I don't know, or maybe, or like, for example, I don't know. Maybe have Tomas Ritondale out on right in replacement of Jonathan Ricketts while he's injured, and have Robert Coronado on the left as a left back, while this happens. Because no matter, like, whether it's Kinsner and Wahab or Benitez and Wahab, somebody in the defense has made terrible mistakes, and the team always seems to shoot themselves in the foot.
Yep.
Somebody needs to go in and put in order. Somebody needs to go in and get this team together and say, hey, you know what? The bleeding stops now. We got to put a tourniquet on this wound. I know we're kind of low on personnel. I know we're, this and that. But we have to roll up our sleeves, and the buck stops here.
Yep.
At this point. And I feel like somebody like with the experience of Eric Pimentel should be the one to try to see if we can salvage something back on this defense. We already know about our offensive problems. We have, at least in the offense, we have the hope. Okay, somebody else is coming in that could be a glimmer of hope that is going to jumpstart this offense. But defensively, our players are injured. The players that supposedly were solid are going through a rough time. And that is affecting this team negatively with results. Obviously, the morale is going to be at an all-time low. So something needs to be done. I'd rather have my most experienced and best players out there on the field and see if I can get some stability out of it, and then use the young ones as your super subs to try to take advantage of, tired legs from somebody else. But I think, I don't know. The fans are not going to be as tolerant and patient as I think some of us here that are watching this show are going to be. And even the people watching this show, they're losing their patience, or they've already lost their patience.
Yeah.
Right. So the results have to come in, because at the end, attendance is going to be affected. I think marketing is doing a decent job with the promos and all of that, and all of it to just go to naught because the team can't get decent results on the road, and much less at home where people are paying money to go and watch and be entertained. And unfortunately, for a lot of people, winning equals entertainment.
Yeah.
That's just the way it is.
100%. I mean, you said it well. Marketing's doing a good job. But that doesn't matter anymore. It is about figuring out these results. The team doing exactly that, one way or another. And at this point, Wilbur Burr literally has to throw the kitchen sink at this whole thing. Literally has to do that, because right now it is the silver spoon. Or not the silver spoon, but the wooden spoon, my bad. And just it needs to change. It does. And I'm going to tell you this, Edson, and I kind of thought about this for kind of a night. To make this season go well and to just make this covering the team fun, I have literally said I'm no longer a fan of this team at all. 1,000%. I am as unbiased as can be. I want to see this team do well, of course, as I am covering this team, but no, I am not a fan. And
wow.
RGV FC is just, well, if they want a chance at a title, or if they want a chance at a playoff spot, they have to do whatever it takes to get things going in the right direction. And even if that's before Juan Galindres to get there, they just need to figure out a good lineup and a good just something to come back and get their confidence back up, because it's literally going to take a whole. They have to climb up a mountain. Basically, is what I'm trying to say here. It's going to be a long road ahead.
That's a bold statement right there, guys. That caught me off guard. I'm not gonna lie. So I put another poll, guys, in the chat about, are you convinced of the performances of Carlos Merancio, the backup keeper? So I said a little while ago, and in the last episode I said, there's not a lot of minutes for me to say, okay, Carlos Merancio is not it as a backup, or he's going to be it as the backup, or I'm confident in Carlos Merancio that he's going to do a good job if Tyler Derrick is not available. That's what I said last week. Unfortunately, for me, this after this game, I'm leaning towards the not confident, to be honest. And I know there's, like I said, it's still what's the statistical term I'm thinking of? There's still very little to kind of get a conclusive statement out of. But honestly, in this game against Orange County, there was a couple of things that kind of caught my eye, and I was like, Merancio, please fix this, or please do something about it. Mm-hmm. Number one, in the first goal, I really think he probably could have done something a little bit more. Maybe positioned himself a little bit better to at least have a better opportunity to block Milanowski. Although Milanowski, he's been a beast. He has a reputation of being a beast in the USL. So maybe not. But in the 6th minute, there was a play where there was a confusion between, it was a long ball, I believe, from Orange County, and Carlos Merancio was kind of outside of his 18-yard box. Then Wahabakwe and Carlos Merancio kind of get confused over who's going for the ball. And Merancio does the right thing, and he's like, okay, I'm the one who's facing towards the ball that's coming in. I'm the one that should clear it. But he clears it with very little power. That's the first mistake. Second mistake, he clears it towards where the Orange County offense was at. He doesn't clear it towards the outside, towards the sidelines. He clears it towards the middle. And that is a big no-no, whether you're a defense or a goalkeeper. You never want to clear the ball towards the middle, especially right outside your box. So what happens? It grants Orange County a clear opportunity to try to chip it over Carlos Merancio and get a second goal much earlier than it actually happened. Thankfully, RGV were kind of spared from this mistake. But let's be honest, had it not been for a lot of the offsides that Orange County got called against, we could have been looking at a 4-0 minimum.
Yep.
And honestly, to me, the more Orange County attacked and had shots against Merancio, I was not feeling comfortable that Merancio was going to get some saves. Yep. That he was going to be a reliable keeper. That if the defense got past the defense, that Merancio was gonna get a key save or something like that. I think the saves that he got were pretty much shots that were going straight towards him. So honestly, I do think that that Merancio could be is better than what his performances show, at least from what I saw from his highlights in Liga de Expansión and of course with League One with FC Tucson. But man, I really miss Tyler Derrick, and I hope he comes back soon. I'm not flaming the guy, guys. Don't confuse it. I'm not flaming Merancio. I want him to be good. I'm just pointing out some of the things that, man, it just left me extremely nervous about what's gonna happen.
Yeah, and I saw, just kind of adding to it, it's tough. So for the first goal from Orange County, Carlos did the right thing, in my eyes. He stepped up. He tried to block the angle from which the attacker was going off the shot. You might disagree with me there, Edson, but to me, he goes off to the left side, and that's a good angle to block. He's trying to also get the ball away from the goal. Would Tyler Derrick do something like that? Most likely. So for that instance, he was okay. Second goal, he's trying to follow the ball. I say he might have been blocked, and so his reaction time might have been a little slow. Could he have gotten there? Possibly, but I like to think that he was blocked. His eyesight from that shot, and of course the back heel did not help at all. Good goal from Orange County. So there, yeah, it wasn't the best from him, but again, he showed up. I expect to see Tyler back this upcoming Saturday. I expect to see Carlos Merancio on the bench. And bold prediction here as we kind of get into next game, I also expect to see Taylor Davila at least on the bench, if not off the roster. Reason being for both of these people, we've kind of noticed, Ray and I have kind of noticed a little pattern of when players are signing autographs the day before the game, they're normally not either on the roster or they're on the bench and not starting. So
Yeah.
possibly we'll probably see Tyler Derrick back behind goal and possibly see Taylor Davila at least on the bench.
So in the second goal, I think for me, it's one of those plays where it's like you as the goalkeeper, well, you're kind of left out hanging. You can only do so much. So I don't put the blame a lot on Merancio in that second goal. That's more on the defense. But overall, it's just been kind of shaky. And so it is what it is. At the end of the day, the Toros were not convincing neither offensively nor defensively. And they come back with another defeat. And now we have to. Oh, by the way, the poll ended 60% yes for the performances of Merancio, 40% no. I would like to know why they voted yes or why they voted no. So put in the chat, guys. So anyway, moving forward towards the next game. Miami FC is coming in to town. And we're not talking about Inter Miami, who just signed Lionel Messi. No. I'm talking about the Miami FC, where former RGV FC player, I just blanked out on his name. Help me out here.
What, some former RGVFC player on the team that Edson can't think of his name?
I'm blanking out right now. I'm sorry, guys.
I'm gonna put you under the bus here, Edson. Edson
Yes.
can't remember his name. I can, but I'm not gonna give him any hints. Side note, I have no idea either.
Help me out, chat. It's been a long day. I'm sorry.
Guys
No.
running on like 3 hours of sleep here.
No. Not Salazar, but yes, he is a former Toro as well. He's got the long hair, played as a winger. Sorto. Christian Sorto. There it is. Is he still with them? I think he is.
Okay, let's look. Ben Mines, Michael Salazar, Gabriel Cabral, Claudio Repetto, Mark Segbers, Zendeas. I'm not seeing a Sorto. Oh yeah, Christian Sorto.
Yeah.
He's one of their leading goal scorers, or at least one of their key strikers, number 99.
And Kyle Murphy.
Oh yeah, that man. I wouldn't really count him as a former Toro, neither as Michael Salazar, because they got screwed over by Houston.
Well, that is kind of true. But the surprise here is that despite having Kyle Murphy, who was one of the leading scorers last season with Memphis 901, was it last season or the year before? I don't remember exactly. I think it was last season. Miami is currently 2-5-6. Away, they are winless. They have played on the road. They have played against Pittsburgh Riverhounds, which they drew. The Rowdies, which they lost 2-0. They drew against Oakland Roots. They lost against Louisville City. And then lost 5-1 to Memphis 901.
Mm-hmm.
All strong teams within the USL. What am I trying to say? Despite them not being winless on the road, the way RGV has been playing, I honestly cannot say that this is going to be a simple match for RGV where they can go in and actually get a win at home.
Mm-hmm. Now, this match is going to be interesting for RGVFC. Given their form, it doesn't look great for RGVFC to pick up a win still. It looks pretty all right for Miami FC to pick up a win. Crazy enough as that may seem, you just mentioned it, Edson. Who have they played against? They played against a very difficult Memphis 901 FC team that embarrassed them by 4 goals. Was their last match. But I mean, it just goes back to this East is not to be messed with. Louisville City 3-1 loss. That's not that bad. A barely loss against San Diego Loyal SC, a team that is also in shambles, San Diego SC, considering that they drop games that they shouldn't. They should feel even more embarrassed about losing to RGV FC, but that's besides the point. Then they beat Birmingham Legion was the last win that they had. That was May 3rd, from what I can tell here, as in an outright win and not a draw. But just absolutely, yeah, craziness. And them coming off of a 5-1 loss, I think there's going to be just vengeance in the water for this team, for Miami FC. And they'll want to get a win. They have a really good opportunity to continue to open up the gash that RGVFC have.
So, Kyle Murphy is the leading goal scorer for Miami with 3 goals in 8 appearances. Christian Sorto 2 and 12. At the end of the day, I think Kyle Murphy has kind of evolved to being a good goal scorer. At least he showed it against with Memphis 901. Showed it as well with the Tampa Bay Rowdies, right? I'm not 100% exactly sure why he's struggling more with Miami FC. Shadow, if you end up watching this or later on, please explain on your podcast. I know you have a lot more time to kind of analyze the opponents that we're coming up. If you can try to figure out why Kyle Murphy is struggling more in this season with the Miami FC, it would be greatly appreciated. But honestly, yeah, it's just frustrating that even a team that's struggling could come on our pitch and pull a Memphis 901. Just look at Memphis. Memphis was terrible coming into this game. And they come to HEB Park. They beat us 3-0. Now all of a sudden, like, Memphis 901 is on the up and up, right? I'm just afraid that the same thing is going to happen with Miami. Somehow they're going to get a positive result here, and then they're going to go on a winning streak. I just want this team to just wake up and get themselves back in a positive mood by the time we get Pinzon and Juan Galindres back. I hate saying this, guys. I hate saying this. Ray says los levantamuertos.
Yeah, everything points to a loss for RGVFC this weekend, to where Miami FC like I said, they have a brilliant opportunity to pick up a positive result from them just having a very bad game, coming back, and even a positive result for them getting a draw on the road, picking up a point and then winning at home against Loudoun United. A shocking win could potentially happen on their June 17th weekend. So it's a whole thing. It's a whole thing. We'll see what happens. Miami FC, I mean, again, the East is not to be messed with. That Memphis 901 should go to the conference final, so that loss there, really, I'm not seeing a bad loss on their schedule except for that 5 goals given up against Memphis. But it's just, yeah, it's tough. For crying out loud, they almost beat literally Inter Miami on April 26th in the U.S. Open Cup. losing by 2 goals in the penalty shootout.
Mm-hmm.
Draw against Oakland Roots. I mean, this team, Miami FC, look good. They don't look bad on paper, shockingly enough. I mean, we'll see. Yeah, our RGV FC, of course, I want them to wake up and figure out just minimize their mistake to 1. That would be a huge turnaround for RGVFC, but what who's to say what's going to happen? It's frustrating time. Patience is definitely running thin with everyone, with the club, with all the fans, whether or not they've already lost it. Reminds me of a great thing that I heard today. Texas A&M, they for years have been bad. For years have been average. Coach has everything under his belt to be very successful, and that's what I feel like RGVFC have. They're very mediocre, and they could be so well even with the players underneath this team right now. So it's just we'll see.
So Mike says, I said on Twitter, one of the captains need to step up and call a player-only meeting and go out and just forget about soccer for a while, clear their mind. I agree with that. I definitely agree with that. There has to be a time, I don't know, soon where they have another bye week or something like that. Maybe they can take advantage of that if that continues to happen. But yeah, for me, my regular prediction, I'm going to go with a 2-1 loss at home with a brace by Kyle Murphy. Jacob?
I would say 3-0 loss for RGVFC. Miami FC pulling up, scoring three goals, and keeping the shutout. Could definitely see that happening.
Ray says regular duelo intrascendente, which is basically a match that, yeah.
Hey Ray, I'm sorry
uninteresting.
I'm sorry to say this to you, but please stop speaking in Spanish so that I can understand. Just for my sake, or if anything, if you can, say it in Spanish and then English for me, just because I don't know a lick of Spanish. That's on me. But just please,
He
sir.
says bold Toros snap. Oh, his bold prediction: Toros snapped the streak with a surprise lineup with Puma and Tyler Derrick in the lineup. So let me see. Has anybody else mentioned? Yeah. So yeah, give your regular and bold predictions. Bold prediction, Jacob.
Bold prediction. Yeah, RGVFC snap it, and it's roles are reversed 3-0 RGVFC. Shout out Tyler Derrick. RGVFC media are interviewing Tyler Derrick after his shutout.
Mike says prediction 3-3 draw or tie. My bold prediction. I think my bold prediction is not necessarily a score. My bold prediction is that RGV makes no mistakes that cost us either a clear opportunity for Miami or a goal against us. At this point, that is going to be bold, them not doing that. Bold prediction for Mike says 2-0 RGV, Frankie Lopez brace. And then JT says prediction, Toros win, Edson gets banned again. Sir, with money dances the dog. Como dijo el Pello Maldonado. With money dances the dog. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, I know, guys, it's a negative outlook. I'm not gonna lie. I understand it. I understand the frustrations, and I'm not going to sugarcoat this. It is a terrible. I think it's the worst moment. Ray, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's one of the worst moments since independence that we have had. Mm-hmm. And there's really nothing that anybody can say that can make anybody feel better. I can say not whatever I want, but
Yep.
I can say to you, oh, this is positive, this is positive, this is positive. But at the end of the day, what the fans want is wins. The fans want goals. The fans want a good performance by this team. And I think at the end of the day, we want that too. It's going to come to a point where eventually, if we continue to lose, if we continue to make the same mistakes, and then people are going to be like, okay, coach is always talking about fixing it. What's been fixed? What has been fixed? Offensively, defensively. And then we're going to look bad because we're saying, oh, don't worry, everything's going to get better, yada, yada, yada. And if it doesn't get better, what's the first thing that people are going to say? Oh, they're brown nosing. Oh, they're bot and kind of thing. We have to keep it real, guys. We have to keep it real, but at the same time, we have to keep it as unbiased as possible, if you guys know what I mean. Yeah, so I hope we get better. I honestly hope this team turns it around and somehow manages to get back into the playoffs and get a good run, a form. But it's going to take the effort from coaching staff. It's going to take the effort from the players to do this, because us as fans, we're not out there on the pitch. We can chant, we can support all we could, but if the players don't get themselves out of this rut, whether it's physical or mental, we can only do so much. And we're gonna say, well, we don't like this, or what is going on with this kind of thing. There's just nothing to say for me anymore.
Yeah, no, looking forward to this game Saturday. I'm hopeful that RGV FC will show up at home, but there's no guarantee. But that's why we also play the game of soccer. That's why we also play sports, to see what will happen. Looking forward to a great game in general. And it might be two teams that need a result and need to almost be perfect to pick one up too. I don't think either side's going to look down at the other team, because if they do, that will be dumb, because that one team could wake up and sure enough show up and win them 3 points, whether or not it's on the road or at home.
JT says, bold prediction, RGV wins second half goal by Pinzon if he does get minutes. I hope. I honestly hope that Pinzon gets back, and I'm looking forward to seeing Juan Galindres out on the pitch. The wait was brutal, to be honest, and I think this team needs some reinforcements now more than ever. And yeah, I think if it were up to me, I'd be thinking about mid-season reinforcements. Honestly, somehow, some way, we need some reinforcements to help the squad, because it also doesn't look good when it's like like we say in Spanish, like we see the storm, but you don't kneel to it. It's like you see that everything's coming, but you don't do anything about it. I honestly think that kind of looks worse. But it is what it is. That's just my perspective. Honestly, guys, I'm tired right now. I need to sleep early because I got to wake up early tomorrow. I apologize for my internet acting up. I almost felt like I was at a worldwide technology raceway when the internet went down. This time it's not AT&T fiber. This is Spectrum that kind of failed on me. So I apologize on that. I hope that next week it will be better and I won't have any connection issues. But until then, guys, I hope to see you all on Saturday. Like I said, if you guys see us at the stadium, don't hesitate to say hi. We will say hi. And let's hope for a positive outcome this Saturday against all predictions. That's what I really want to see. That's what the fans want to see. That's what Jacob probably wants to see as well. I know he said he's not a fan of the Toros anymore, but it is what it is, man. Jacob, any final thoughts?
Final thoughts. Yeah, should be a great game on Saturday. Looking forward to watching some soccer. We'll see what happens. That could go either way. We just don't know. Hopefully, of course, it goes the Toros' way, but if it doesn't, so be it. Another week for them to figure out what to do to get themselves a victory and or even one point on the road. Is a battle. If I'm not mistaken, next game will be New Mexico United after this, so should be exciting to see what happens here this upcoming Saturday at HEB Park.
Well, guys, I thank you all for tuning in. I thank you all for participating in the chat, in the polls, in the questions. Hope to see you all on Saturday. Hope to see you all next week. I gotta go. Thank you all, and let's go Toros.